it's this spiritual knowledge, right? It's this knowledge of, he said, if the mountains fall into the sea, let it be. It ain't me, right? Like what's collapsing around me is not me. Even my own body, like even the mountain of our body is going to collapse into the sea of time and ultimately death.
Hmm.
And can one say, let it be? And I agree with what you're saying. Like, I mean, exactly what he was expressing. I think it's really a song about individuality and
Hmm.
being yourself and not worrying. But I think it also does have like it does carry with it a message that if a wise person can whatever dramatic changes are happening in their world, they don't necessarily alter their internal reality.
Sure.
And it's to cultivate that is not to be turning away from the world. To cultivate that gives us the power to respond in this world in the wisest way. If not, if we don't have that grounding, we do have fear.
Hmm.
And it's fear that leads to so much illusion, so much confusion, so much delusion,
Keep going. Keep rhyming. Keep
profusion.
contusions.
but but it leads to cruelty, actually is what it leads to, acts of cruelty, justified acts of cruelty,
Oh,
a
that's a nice one.
dehumanization of
Justified acts of cruelty.
yeah,
Okay.
dehumanization of like, whole countries or races or whatever,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and your co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show, everybody. Today, it's Monday, June 23rd, 2025. It's episode 1632, and it's Monday. It's a new week. I took a little day off yesterday. Had a great episode Saturday. We brought on live guests, and Kaylee Lalita, who a lot of you know from as Kate 108. She's doing her doctoral thesis. What's a doctoral thesis called?
Dissertation.
Dissertation. Kaustubha. It's a dissertation.
You just learned that a second ago.
I knew it. I forgot it. She was doing a dissertation on Westerners going on pilgrimage, and so we unmuted a bunch of people. Had a couple people here also we that came on live and just talked about why they went to India, what they got out of it, what were they expecting to get out of it. It was a really interesting show. So check that Saturday's pilgrimage episode out.
All right.
And today it's Monday, everybody. Welcome. Miss Mara, what's going on in your world? This is our big day off. All we have is Henry and Bunky here.
Yeah. Let's see. Registration for our next session of Sage Groups begins on Saturday, June 28th.
Whoa.
The session's going to run,
Yeah.
It's session 11. It runs July 3rd. It starts on July 14th and runs for 8 weeks. So it's a little bit of a shorter.
Yeah, it's a little mini summer session.
And when can people sign up? Saturday, we're going to open the gates. First come, first serve. Go to our website, wisdomofthesages.com. If you don't know what a sage groups are, they're groups that get together on a weekly basis online. Sometimes they're theme-based. And I will say, we get nothing but rave reviews. It really develops community. It really helps people go a little deeper than staying on superficial, Harry Bull, how are you? Stuff like that. And you get a little deeper, get to know people. And I will say, it's got such positive feedback from our community. It's really wonderful. And the cost, nothing. We forgot to charge anything. And now it's free. So anybody can join these. And sometimes people think, well, if you don't have to pay for it, it must not be valuable. Untrue. Very valuable. Some of the most wonderful things in the world you don't got to pay for. Gardening. Mara Garden, she doesn't.
You do have to pay for it. You got to go to the store and buy.
You don't have to. Kaustubha.
Right.
Seeds come from other plants.
All right.
We forage around.
Buy
wild tomatoes.
spade.
Yeah, we don't have to buy those.
No,
They
you
just
haven't
become. We
spent
make
any
our own.
money on
We
gardening
make our
equipment?
own stuff, Kaustubha. We live on the farm.
Give me a break.
We use our own humanure.
You make it sound like you're Laura Ingalls over here.
I'm plowing. I hitch up Gus to a simple plow. Look, he's so exhausted. Look at him back there. He's exhausted from.
You're working him too hard.
You know
Oh,
what?
Gus.
Whatever you pay for gardening tools, soil, seed, etc., it's worth it in counterbalancing the money you need in therapy. Touching the earth is so powerful, Kaustubha. You come here, I'm going to take you by the hands. I'm going to take you by the hands. I'm going to nuggle you like this. I'm going to snuggle you like that. I'm going to nug like a little cat does to you. Nuzzle you. No, not. And I'm going to take your hands. I'm going to walk you over to the earth, and I'm going to put your hands in that earth.
Thank you, Mr. Earth.
And I will help you. Then I'll take my dirty hands and hold you and hold your skull and say, this is for you, my friend. Heal!
Okay.
Part-time healer.
It's amazing
Sometimes I
what
heal, sometimes I heal
Raghunath's
people.
imagination is really an amazing garden itself of
Indeed.
different ideas and
A few weeds.
ideas of himself, and who he is and what he
Some people
represents.
have
Many branches of that.
Hey, if some people have written me letters and said, hey, you've healed me of this. You've helped me through this.
Yes,
Can't
you're
I
a
put
healer.
in my bio that I'm a healer? Can't I
Definitely.
do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
If I've
Just
given to
part-time.
people, can't I put in my bio I am a philanthropist, a lover of people?
Definitely.
Okay.
So,
If I can identify various trees when I walk into foreign places, can't I call myself a part-time botanist?
he's so revealing, actually, of his inner psychology. It's like, I want to just do the smallest amount in each and then be able to call myself something. And
Well, I'm just finding the more we do these nuggets, we hear
Yeah.
about these people, we realize who's giving them these names. You know, they're calling themselves naturalists,
Think they're
environmentalists.
self-identified?
I think people
I don't-
after they die, people say, "Wow, he was an environmentalist."
But
he was
Raghunath, we're
this."
trying to let go of these upadhis, not collect them. Trying to let go of them. Let go.
I know, but what do you want to write?
Heal,
What
Raghunath.
are you going to write in your
Physician,
bio?
heal thyself, for crying out loud.
What are you going to write in your bio? Hi, I'm Kaustubha. And
Well,
that's
is
all
life all
that's
about
all I
writing a
got.
bio?
Even my name's not even Kaustubha. I have no name. I'm nameless. I'm
Alright.
formless. I'm a being. I'm just a spiritual being. That's really, truthfully, that's our only part of our bio. Hi, I call myself Raghunath. I'm a spirit soul who's lost in this material world, pathetically trying to get out. You want me to put that in my bio? I can do that too.
That would be good.
Shall
Really
we move to the
interesting.
nugget?
Yes.
Yeah, let's move on to the nugget. What do you got? Who's it from?
Today's nugget comes from Jimi Hendrix.
Now, were you a Jimi Hendrix fan, Mara? Truth be told.
I like Jimi Hendrix.
I can't name one song.
Really?
Seriously, never listened to him.
You
I
know-
didn't listen. For the most part, I didn't like rock and roll.
All
I
right.
liked classical music up until the point I turned punk.
Really?
Yep. I liked Bob Dylan. That was the only bridge to punk. Bob Dylan, and then I went punk, and that was it.
That's
I know
nothing.
nothing about
That is
rock
very
and roll.
strange. All right.
All right.
Well,
so
I would just say people generally, when you think of Jimi Hendrix, of course, you think of like a guitar virtuoso or whatever, like this.
Yeah.
But he was quite the lyricist too, quite the poet himself. And so we'll hear a little from him today.
all right. This comes from If 6 Was 9.
If 6 was 9.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Raghunath? Just right there.
That itself is a pretty cool thing. If
Intriguing
6 was
title.
9.
Hmm.
Very well, yeah. To me, that alone says if you can flip your world, you got a whole
Okay.
different world. You got a whole
Mm.
different vantage point. So I
Alright.
like that.
Okay.
I'm not saying I wouldn't like it. Even as a kid, when I heard about people doing overdosing, I was like, why waste your life? I was very positive about like living your life to the fullest. When I heard people got into drugs, I just was so disturbed by it. It seemed like such a disgrace, like a diss to God.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know if that was his intention.
Yeah, it probably wasn't. It probably was like, these are fun, these are recreational, these make me think deep and feel better and zone
Or
out. I don't really know.
sometimes people are feeling pain and they're
Or
trying
they're
to.
feeling pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, truthfully, the more you hear about these huge celebrities, especially artists, the more you think like, who were these people? Like, where are they coming from? In what previous that they have this karma of fame and introspection.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
there, of course, someone put on the message board why I didn't like him later as a devotee is because on the cover of one of his albums, he had this picture of the universal form,
He
and
put
then he
himself
cut
in it.
out Lord Vishnu's head, and he put his head.
But I think he may not have been responsible for that.
Well, I'm sure he didn't do it. I'm sure they hired an artist at the
No,
record
I don't
company
mean
who
that. I
did
mean,
it.
like, in other words, it might have even, I've heard that it was designed without his approval or something like that.
Well, I hope so, because that's a big offense to Lord Vishnu.
Okay.
All right. Jimi Hendrix writes.
Yeah, that kind of took us down. Now we're going
Yeah.
to let's say something good about him.
If the sun refused to shine, I don't mind, I don't mind. If the mountains fell into the sea, let it be, it ain't me.
Okay. Have you heard this song, Raghunath?
You know what? Off the top of my head, no.
Okay.
But I've read this quote 1,000 times over and over.
Really? Okay.
Well, this morning.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Share your
Y-
thoughts.
Well, sometimes the world itself feels like it's like sort of flipping down. It's upside down. You know, things fall apart, the unexpected hits, the sun stops shining, the mountains crumble, and we go into panic.
Yeah.
We were actually having an ecstatic kirtan this weekend. Do you remember we were sitting outside and we're just like talking about the joy and feeling the bliss? And then somebody came up to me, Mara. She goes, "Oh, and I hate to be a what did she say?
Debbie Downer.
A Debbie Downer, but we just dropped bombs on Iran." I was like,
Yeah.
"Meow." And so it's one of these things. It's like, why would you say I don't mind? I don't mind. Why? Because when your peace isn't tied to the outer world, nothing can shake you. When your peace is tied to the outer world, everything will shake you, not just bombs, everything. There's bombs dropping everywhere all the time. And it's exhausting and it's sad and it makes you cry on a regular basis. And we're almost asked to step back just to survive. Step back. And that's a powerful place to live from. Most of us are clutching onto external stuff, our plans, our comforts, our image, and when those things
Our
shift,
bio.
our bio, yes, sometimes our bios shift,
Okay.
right? My bio has shifted over the years. Then we fall
Expanded.
apart.
Yeah.
It's expanded. I've become greater at many things. But when you found something deeper, something real inside, then even the mountains fall into the sea. You're good. You're okay with that. It's not apathy like let it all go. Who cares? I've been in that place too, where it's just like apathy. When you're like broke and then you're getting a note from the bank, like you are broke and you're getting charged $30 for being broke. Your account ever get that? It was like, wait, I'm already broke. Take money from the guys who've got money. Why are you hitting me with a $30 fee? And then you get to this point where they get another $30 fee, and you're just like, just take it all. I've got to that point where just like, let the world collapse. I had that. I went through a bankruptcy once. It was just, I was like, I don't care. I don't care anymore. You're not, anyway. So it's not apathy. What he's talking about here is you're anchored. It's a kind of fearlessness that doesn't come from like denial of the situation. It comes from knowing that none of this is me. That's not where my peace comes from. And that's when real strength starts to show up. And it turns out that people almost feel I'm irresponsible if I don't worry about the world. You know what? You're irresponsible if you let your serenity go. And everybody else around you who loves you has to deal with you out of control.
It's interesting that you use the word irresponsible because it has a condescending tone to it, but if you kind of just break it down literally, like irresponsible, that when you, what did you just say? When you lose your
Serenity.
serenity, you become irresponsible. It affects your ability to respond clearly.
Huh.
You know,
Very
right?
good. You
Irresponsible.
little wordsmith.
Irresponsible, not able to respond. Right?
Very good, Kaustubha.
Thank you. But you know, I appreciate all that you're saying. I also had an experience where I was on a high and then I hit a low because on Saturday night I was at the Bhakti Center holds like this annual fundraising dinner,
Yeah.
and it's at Joe Chiarini. Have you been to Joe Chiarini's place?
No, I've had Joe Chiarini up here. Been to India with Joe Chiarini, but never went to his place in New York City.
Yeah,
He's a really nice devotee who has a really cool, exclusive carpet place in New York City called, what's it called?
I think it's called Joe Chiarini Carpets or
Joe
Chiarini.
Chiarini,
Yeah,
Chiarini
or
Carpets. But
Joseph Chiarini Carpets.
Joseph Chiarini, he travels all over the world, brings these beautiful carpets back, and
No, he not exactly. Actually goes to Nepal.
we get some in Nepal.
And he doesn't just like find them there, but he actually works with the people there in designing them,
Wow.
and they make them there and he sells them here. And so he's got this really cool kind of like carpet showroom that serves as a great like place to host an event. And so we had a great night there. You know, it's Raghunath Swami was given like an award from the mayor of New York. You know, and they had his representative there, and they read a real nice thing about him and handed him that. And you know, it's just nice to get together with people and have some kirtan. And I was feeling
Did
great.
you get
and
anything? Did you get an award?
No award from me. No,
Oh, is that why you were upset?
I wasn't upset. I was happy.
Oh, I thought you said your world fell apart.
I didn't say my world fell apart, but I said I had a similar experience like you did, where I was on a high and then it kind of went low.
Well, you'll get an award, man. Don't worry.
I'm not interested in the award or the title or the bio.
All right, keep this going, man.
So you know, yeah, I took a beautiful bike ride home. You know, summer evening. It was nice. I got home, and then
helmet,
I also
yeah.
found out that we had dropped bombs on Iran. And then, you know, immediately I had to think about, you know, I just spent, was it last October? You know, I spent a week with a beautiful group of yogis from Iran, you know, from Tehran. And I was, you know, of course, they've entered into a war with Israel. And so I've been thinking about them a lot lately. And now my own country, right, is getting involved. And I reached out to my friend Sohail, who was kind of like the leader of that group, and we had nice back and forth, you know, where I was expressing my prayers for him, and he was sharing his thoughts, but you know, back and forth is sweet. But it's a fact, we do become irresponsible, you know. I liked what you said, that this isn't. What did you say? It's not about. You said it's something like not being like
Not being apathetic.
not being apathetic. Yeah, it's not being apathetic, but it's being. What did you say? Grounded or something, or anchored?
Clarity, not apathy.
Did you say anchored? Clarity, not apathy?
Clarity, not apathy, something like that.
I think it said anchored or something like that. Anyway, yeah, but it's a fact that, you know, it's this spiritual knowledge, right? It's this knowledge of, you know, he said, if the mountains fall into the sea, let it be. It ain't me, right? Like what's collapsing around me is not me. Even my own body. You know, like even you know, the mountain of our body is going to collapse into the sea of time and ultimately death. And can one say, let it be? And I agree with what you're saying. Like, I mean, exactly what he was expressing. I think it's really a song about individuality and being yourself and not worrying. But I think it also does have like, it does carry with it a message that if a wise person can, whatever dramatic changes are happening in their world, they don't necessarily alter their internal reality.
Sure.
And it's to cultivate that is not to be turning away from the world. To cultivate that gives us the power to respond in this world in the wisest way. If not, if we don't have that grounding, we do have fear. And it's fear that leads to so much illusion, so much confusion, so much delusion.
Keep going. Keep rhyming.
Profusion.
Contusions.
but it leads to cruelty, actually, is what it leads to. You know, acts of cruelty, justified acts of cruelty,
Oh,
a
that's a nice one.
dehumanization
Justified acts of cruelty.
yeah,
Okay.
dehumanization of, like, you know, whole countries or races or whatever, you know. And I'm reminded, I think I've shared this on the show before, but there's this film, it's a documentary called The Fog of War. Are you familiar?
No, I don't know.
It's a documentary that it examines, I think, the former Secretary of Defense of the United States during the Vietnam War, whose name was McNamara. He's definitely big in the movie, but I think he might have been largely behind the film. And perhaps it was even like some kind of act of redemption, you know, for him or something like that, where
Yeah.
he really analyzed what he calls the fog of war, which means the confusion that leaders experience. How, like, in the midst of their uncertainty of what the other side is planning or what their intention is, that they naturally kind of, like, you assume the worst
Sure.
and you respond to that assumption, and that can lead to grave errors of judgment and the dehumanization, you know, the dehumanization of people, and then ultimately those huge acts of cruelty. So you know, he kind of breaks it down, like he was why I chose to what's it called, consult, or, you know, offer his advice to the president to do the following, right? Following horrible acts. And they were also interviewing the leaders of the Viet Cong and what they were thinking the Americans were trying to do, and why they chose to do the things that they were doing. You know, like the Americans thought that the Viet Cong was going to try to take over all of Southeast Asia and to just bring communism, like spread it, not just in their own nation, but like all over. They're like, no, that was never our intention at all. We were simply concerned about our own nation and the governance of our own nation. And the Viet Cong were worried that, you know, that America was trying to, I forget exactly what they thought the motive was, but, you know, the Americans said, we were just worried about the spread of communism. And they showed how it kept how their confusion and their delusion of what the other side was intending to do kept leading them to further acts of cruelty and further acts of cruelty until it became this incredibly brutal, horrible war. And so, yeah, you know, I was feeling that when I heard that news, you know, that we have these leaders that are delusional. You know, we have people that we love. We have our listeners in Iran, in Israel, in Beirut, in, you know, in all of these places, in
Israel.
Russia, in Ukraine. Yeah, and you know, we all share something about the nature of ourselves. You know, who we are, what we need, you know, and what we don't need. And it's spiritual knowledge that gives one that, and that helps one live without fear. If we're ruled by fear, you know, it's like they say, they also do those experiments where you take like a jar of ants or something like that, and they're all peacefully like coexisting in there, and you shake it up a little bit, and they all start attacking each other. And that's what we allow this world to do to us. It gets a little shaken and we all start to attack each other. We need something steady, something grounding.
And sometimes in that shaking up, we attack our own selves. Like, we know when fear and anxiety rose high during COVID, not just because of the disease itself, but the concept of locking down, or perhaps losing my job, or our jobs, or perhaps what could be in the future. It took a lot of people who were already sort of struggling with life, or did their best to become sober from any addiction they went, and it pushed them right into addiction. So it's not just like we're creating hell and living in hell. Some of us will hit that first domino that takes us all the way down really quick. And there is no way to change the world if I can't really have some serenity, some peace of mind, some inner peace. And the world will collapse. It's collapsing all the time, and the sun is rising also too. So this is the concept of samadhi. It is, seasons are going to change. That's understandable. Here we have this. I mean, the weather is beautiful today, and the weather's been beautiful all weekend. And but it's also going to get very, very hot in the next couple of days.
I'm feeling sticky right now, man.
Ridiculous
It's
hot.
like I feel greasy.
And then it's going to pour rain, and then it's going to get gorgeous in October. You know, and then all the leaves are going to be gone, and it's going to start getting super cold.
You know so much about nature. It's crazy.
Well, you know what? I'm like sort of partly a meteorologist too. I didn't tell you about that.
You're making all these predictions. Let's see if they come true. We'll come back.
Then it can get so cold upstate that our pipes actually freeze. Now the Floridians, the people from Delhi, Aravind is looking. Wait, your pipes freeze? Yeah, it gets so cold the pipes freeze. So this is just the change of seasons. Can we find a sameness within it? This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is what the yoga system is talking about. And this is what we're talking about today with Jimi Hendrix and coming up in the Bhāgavatam.
Nice. You know what that just reminded me? And I just looked it up.
What?
There's that quote. Do you know who said this quote? We have nothing to fear but fear itself.
Yeah, Winston Churchill.
No.
Oh,
Good try.
No, nothing. John F. Kennedy, Mara says.
No.
Oh, Eisenhower.
No.
Charlie Chaplin.
Alfred E. Newman.
Churchill.
You're getting warmer. It's not. You already tried Churchill.
FDR. Roosevelt.
There you go. You got it. FDR. Just stop right there. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Yeah.
Thanks, Ashoka Krishna, who got it.
Okay. There we go. Martine, Martine, you messed that one up. Yeah, no, but that was a time when the stock market, this happens in the stock market, right? Everybody gets fearful.
And they all dump their stocks.
They all dump it, and he was saying, because he was speaking right after the stock market crash, and he said, this is what he said. He said, so first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance. Right? We can enter into that fog of war. We can enter into that fear. And on a global level, a national level, a community level, a racial level, a gender level, a family level. On all different levels, we can fear and we can fail to know how to respond. And a wise person, a sage, a sadhu, they have this certain knowledge of the nature of the self. Who am I? That gives them the power to, it gives them detachment. My happiness, my freedom, my well-being is not dependent on the external things which are always changing. And it's from that, cultivating that. Again, it's not irresponsible. It's not, I keep forgetting the word that you use, but it's not turning away from the world. It's actually preparing oneself to operate well in this world.
It's not apathy, it's clarity.
Thank you, Raghunath. Thank you. It's not apathy, it's clarity.
All right, let's get into the Bhāgavatam, sir.
Raghunath, this is all Bhāgavatam. Try
That's
to
what I'm
open
saying.
your eyes.
What I'm saying is let's get into it, not dance on the surface of it.
I was into it. I don't know what you were doing. I was deep into it.
Let's not polish it. Let's open the hood.
Okay.
Rayanam namaskrityanam chaivanarottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madirayat. Before we start in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, and to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Vyasadeva, Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu vadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya, bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naishtaki, by regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
Yes.
Reading from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam.
By the way, Sarah Ditto looks like she's working on quite a project over there.
She's got projects ahead of her.
What has she got? Oh, Jimi Hendrix. Oh no, it's
Oh.
Lord Vishnu.
It's Lord Vishnu.
It looks just like the cover of that record.
Did that. She just did that.
Because she hasn't painted in like the part around him. It looks like he had a big fro.
Don't put Jimi Hendrix's face in there, Sarah,
Don't go there, Sarah.
because a Prabhupada commented on that album cover. Believe it
He
or
did.
not,
Yeah.
he said you will go
Made
to
a
hell
prophecy
for
of his
that,"
own.
something like that, right? You'll go to
Huh?
hell for that.
I heard what he said. I'm not going to say it.
All right.
I'm not gonna say
Anyway,
it.
it's not good.
But,
It's not like
yeah.
you're.
But
gonna get a
essentially, he
glove
said that's what the
shoved
demons do, right? They try to take, what was it? Who was it? Paundraka,
in. Pondraka, yeah.
who kind of put on extra arms and pretended he was
The
Vishnu.
false Vasudev. You know what's interesting? You read me that story when we were young.
Did I?
You read me the story of Pondraka.
And you've never forgotten it.
Nope.
It's a
You
classic.
also read me the story of Dvavida Gorilla.
Did I? The story of Paundraka, which comes up in the 10th canto, it won't be too long till we get there. It's about this demonic ruler, right, who's so psycho. Like we've got psycho rulers now. They had some back then too.
Yeah, they always existed, psycho rulers.
So he was a psycho
They
demon.
might have been much worse.
And he was so envious of Vishnu that he tried to take his position to the point of ridiculousness of putting on extra arms. And he wrote this letter to Krishna saying, I am Vishnu, and I am this, and I am that. And it's interesting, there's, within the different Vaishnava lineages,
Mhm.
one that we're actually kind of a branch of, is the Madhva Sampradaya, the lineage coming down from this powerful
Yeah.
sage Madhvacharya, who was his twist, you could say, or his interpretation of Vedanta is very much diametrically opposed to the monism of Shankara's, presentation of Vedanta. And within that tradition, there's like within that lineage, there is a tradition of training philosophers to debate these points, about is God a person or is God merely an energy?
Right.
And there's a book that I have that's called something like 1001 arguments to defeat, Mayavadi philosophy or something like that.
Mm.
Or it's something like that. I forget exactly what it is. But it's from that tradition. And one of the first arguments they put forward is from the Bhagavatam. And Krishna, because when Krishna receives that message, I think some messenger arrives and he's like in his room with like his counselors and everything, right? And this messenger comes into the room and reads this message from Paundraka, how I am the real Vishnu. And he goes on and on to say, I forget exactly what he expresses, but like all the things that Vishnu does, he's saying,
Please give up your weapons.
Yeah.
Like your disc and your club. And
I am the
Krishna
true.
replies.
Yeah.
Krishna replies, I'll
Yep.
give up my disc when it comes to cut off your head.
Oh, but even before that, when the message is read, it's one of those moments where Krishna and all of his counselors, they all look at each other and they just start laughing. They just start laughing like, this is the most absurd. How delusional is this fool? What an idiot.
Well, ego makes us delusional. It makes us laughable.
It's this laughing stuff.
When we're
laughable.
living in our ego, it's just like we become laughable.
Yeah. And so the point being is that when we identify ourselves with the all-pervasive divine being or with God, we make a fool of ourselves. And we become a laughing stock. Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you, Kaustubha.
Thank you.
Text 23. Thereafter, having seen that her child had all the symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Devaki, who was very much afraid of Kamsa and unusually astonished, began to offer prayers to the Lord.
Okay, what text are we on again now?
23.
Okay, so first we heard the father's prayers. Now we're hearing the mother's prayers.
Yeah, so here's text 24. Devaki said, my dear Lord, there are different Vedas, some which describe you as unperceivable through words and mind. Yet
Okay.
you are the origin of the entire cosmic manifestation. You are Brahman, the greatest of everything, full of effulgence like the sun. You have no material cause. You are free from change and deviation, and you have no material desires.
Well, so
Thus,
much was said right there, right? So it's like
yeah,
she's coming out of the gate with apparent knowledge of Krishna's greatness, or you could say Vishnu's greatness. And just, again, this is how Bhagavatam clarifies Vedanta for us, because we've heard in the earlier text, that Janmad Yasya Yataha, that Brahman is that from which everything comes. And so now she's putting the face on it, right? That there's a person, that's you. You're before me now. You are Brahman, that part of Brahman. You are the greatest of everything. You are full of effulgence like the sun, right? All light comes from you. You have no material cause, right? Just like everything else in this world has a cause. All of us have a cause. You're causeless. You're outside the realm of a need for a cause. You are the cause of all causes. You're free from change and deviation. You have no material desires, right? You create this realm in which we pursue material desires. You're beyond all of it. So it's ontologically establishing who Krishna is. He is that all-pervasive Brahman. He is that all-pervasive Paramatma. But here you are in a form in front of me.
therefore, my Lord.
I thought it was thus the Vedas. Thus the Vedas say that you, one sentence up.
Just
one sentence.
a mirror left, and I lost my spot.
You said, therefore, my Lord, just one sentence before.
Therefore, thus the Vedas say that you are the substance. Therefore, my Lord, you are directly the origin of all Vedic statements. And by understanding you, one gradually understands everything.
Okay.
You are different from the light of Brahman and Paramatma, yet you are not different from them. Everything emanates from you. Indeed, you are the cause of all causes, Lord Vishnu, the light of all transcendental knowledge. You really see here how, if you studied the Vedas, if you studied the concept of or the Upanishads, and then you study this, you'll be like, oh, this is how it all ties
Now
together.
I get it.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
Just
If you're open to
one
that message.
prayer alone, you will get the entire picture. It's the big zoom out of Vedic study. Just this one prayer.
Exactly, Raghunath. And in one sense, you see, Bhagavatam is the commentary on Vedanta Sutra, right? Which is the kind of the condensed form of the Upanishads. So if you want to understand Vedanta Sutra, well, if you want to understand the Upanishads, you have to understand Vedanta Sutra. And if you want to understand Vedanta Sutra, you understand it by the commentary of the person that wrote it, and that's Vyasadeva, who composed the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam as a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. It explains it all. All the things that are said there that can be ambiguous or unclear are clarified in the Bhāgavatam. And the Bhāgavatam, kind of opens up in chapter 2. Questions are placed in chapter 1. And chapter 2 begins to really lay out an understanding of the path of bhakti, where it leads, what life is meant for, et cetera, and ultimately who Krishna is. And this, all these verses and these messages that we're reading in Bhagavatam, like what's playing out here, just as you're saying, it's explaining what we've read in the Upanishads in Vedanta Sutra, and it's explaining the verses that are there in that second chapter. Because in the second chapter, Krishna says life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. That's what the animals do. We're human beings. We have a higher potential. And he says one should desire only a healthy life for self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry into the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. Now, the logical question that the sages would ask then was, well, people have different conceptions of what the absolute truth is. What is it that everything else comes from? Is it a non-personal energy? Is it some kind of divine intelligence that's like spreads everywhere? Or is it a person? Because we hear all these different presentations and people have different things to say. And then he comes through with this super important verse that Vedanti tattva vidas, that the tattva vidas, that those that really know the truth, they know the absolute truth, they say that it's non-dual, it's all one, but it manifests in 3 ways. And that is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan as a non-personal divine light, as a localized form within every atom, what to speak of within the heart of every living being, and then also as a person that you can shake hands with and love and embrace. And so what Devaki says here, it's going right back to that verse in the second chapter. You are different from the light of Brahman and Paramatma, and yet you are non-different from them, right? In one sense, they are your energies. They stem from you. They are you. They are a manifestation of you, but you are still more. They are contained within you. But in you is also the possibility to know and love you like a person.
This is the downside of stumbling into whatever bright light books, some sort of yoga bookstore. At least they used to have all these like Easty,
Bright light
Westy
books.
bookstores, and we had them in New York City.
East meets West.
Wisers,
Oh, was
East
it?
West.
East
Where you
West,
get
yeah.
like every book on macrobiotics and the Tibetan Book of the Dead and Jonathan Livingston Seagull, etc. And then all these books by different yoga teachers and you and then you here's a random scholarly translation of the Upanishads. You read that and you think this is Indian thought. God is formless. God can't have a name. And you're like, oh, that sort of makes sense. Like God is one. We are God. And you start thinking, yes, yes, yes. But the problem is, and you read Bhagavad Gita's with the same concept or the same translation, and you just become very, very just off kilter in your understanding of everything. Then when you hear these statements of the Bhagavatam, you say, oh, this is the thread that's going to tie this all together. Now this makes sense.
There you go.
Otherwise, if you live in that world of, I found a random book on the Upanishads and I'm going to live my life by this, you're constantly trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. What does this have to do with my life on earth? What does this have to do with the personal God? How can I fit a personal God? Maybe the personal God is just imagination to understand that there is no actual form or personality or attributes. No. It fits together very clearly. There's a sun globe. That's a real thing. And then there's energy emanating from the sun. And then there's a sunlight.
Right.
They're
of the same nature, but one is dependent on the other. One's the source. One comes from the source.
It makes so much sense.
It just all clicks together.
It clicks together. Thank you. Not you, but thank you too. Thank you to Prabhupada for translating this, or else we'd just be like, yeah, everything is one. We're all light. We're all beings of light, and that's it.
Let's read a few more verses,
Text 25.
That
after
was text 25. Was that? Oh, no, maybe not. Okay, go ahead.
Text 25. After millions of years, at the time of cosmic annihilation, when everything manifested and unmanifested is annihilated by the force of time, the five gross elements enter into their subtle conception, and the manifested categories enter into the unmanifested substance. At that time, you alone remain, and you are known as Ananta Sheshanaga.
So the universe goes through cycles of creation and destruction,
just like the change of seasons here.
Change of seasons. You're so in touch with nature. It's crazy.
Things sprout, things blossom, leaves fall. Kaustubha, leaves fall.
Thank you for sharing.
And then all the energy goes into the roots. It goes to hibernation, so to speak.
Nice.
And then spring's around the corner.
Thank you, Mr. Nature. You should have your own children's nature show.
Thanks for saying children's to doubly down on my sad
I just think it would be
reality.
sweet. I think your full sweetness could manifest in a children's show. That's all, not your knowledge. Your knowledge is certainly suitable for an adult audience.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Oh, inaugurator of the material energy. This wonderful creation works under the control of powerful time, which is divided into seconds, minutes, hours, and years. This element of time, which extends for many millions of years, is but another form of Lord Vishnu. For your pastimes, you act as the controller of time, but you are the reservoir of all good fortune. Let me offer my full surrender unto your lordship. You know, I would love to get a Vedic scientist on the show and talk to him or her about time and
Yeah.
how the Vedas break down time, because our time is, I think it's all based on solar calendars. And when there's Vedic time, the year is slightly different than the solar
I
year.
mean, the lunar calendar.
The lunar calendar is slightly different than the solar year, and therefore your days are broken down slightly differently.
Yeah.
And the way you measure time, like there's muhurtas, there's titis,
Well, Vedic
Yes.
astrologer would be good for that, Raghunath.
Vedic astrology. It's very interesting.
Yeah. They have a leap. The lunar calendar has a leap year, or a leap like month. Well,
No,
we
the
both have
the
leap
lunar calendar
years,
is a leap month. Yeah,
but no, we both have leap years. But in the solar calendar it's a day, and in the lunar calendar it's a month.
yeah, it's very interesting.
Purushottam-mas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but this was a powerful verse. I mean, this verse is huge. You know, the element of time which extends for is but another form of Vishnu. For your pastimes, you act as the controller of time, but you are the reservoir of all good fortune. Time can seem like it's the reservoir of all bad fortune, right? It's like it takes everything that I've got and just takes it away. It takes away all my fortune.
Yeah, unless you're a little kid, then you're like, time is great. I can't wait till I grow up. I can't wait till I get this. I can't wait till I graduate. I can't wait till I get a job. I've been
Just wait,
looking
kiddo.
for a job, and then I found a job. Heaven knows I'm miserable now. You don't even know who that is, do
I
you?
have no idea.
Okay, let's go on.
Broadway show?
No, Morrissey.
Oh, okay. Text 27.
Next 27. No one in this material world has become free from the four principles: birth, death, old age, and disease, even by fleeing to various planets. Yep. Birth, death, old age, and disease.
They're there too.
I'm really thinking about old age lately. And not just because Henry's here, because me and Henry are here. We're getting older. I knew him when he was 32.
Gus, too.
when I was 22. My dog is experiencing old age. It's hard for him to walk. He sometimes just plops down, looks a little
It
sad.
looks like he just has trouble just getting up now.
He does.
Like it used to be, he had
He
trouble
might
getting up
not
on the
ever
couch.
get up. I'm looking back at him right now. That might be his final resting place.
Yeah.
You know who's else getting old? Our sheep. We're getting old.
Madhu, yeah.
Yeah, they're getting old. My Lord, you dispel all the fear of your devotees. I request you to save us. Give us protection from the terrible fear of Kamsa.
Did you finish?
Did I finish this?
Yeah.
Well, fleeing to various planets. But now that you have appeared, my Lord, death is fleeing from you. And the living entities have obtained shelter at your lotus feet, by your mercy. They are sleeping in full mental peace.
Okay,
Isn't that
so
true?
read this again because you started, you went back.
But now that you have appeared, my Lord, death is fleeing in fear of you, and the living entities, having obtained shelter at your lotus feet by your mercy, are sleeping in full mental peace. Isn't that true? You
Yes.
invite Krishna into your life, there's mental peace. Fear is fleeing from you.
Right.
Right?
There is something about when your day ends to be able to feel no anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's our connection to Krishna. It's our understanding of Vishnu that allows one that full mental peace, right? To sleep in full mental peace, right? So she understands this. She's got this incredible deep understanding. And then very soon, maybe we're out of time for today, but when we come back to her, she's gonna have a similar shift that Vasudev had, where in one moment she's like a knowledgeable yogi or jnānic appreciating the power of Lord Vishnu, and then the next moment she's like a mother. Oh, we need to take care of you because Kamsa's going to come.
All right, let's go to a takeaway. Miss Mara, did you catch anything today? Was anything substantial said today?
Yeah, I got some good stuff today.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Ever have one of those shows, Kaustubha, you were like, this was flat? Ever have one of those shows?
Occasionally, but I think
Sometimes I have these shows, or sometimes I wake up. I'm just like, you know what?
Feeling a little flat.
I've got nothing to offer anybody today.
But
we got to do this every day. I'm like, how can I become like? How am I supposed to share? I'm not that wise.
Right.
You're pretty wise.
Confessions with Raghunath. I know we call this wisdom. I'm really not that wise.
I know we call this wisdom of the sages, but
All right. Ready for some takeaways?
Yes.
yeah.
When your peace is tied to the external world, everything will shake you.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Shaky situation.
Shake them up.
You're irresponsible if you let your serenity go.
Right.
Yeah.
You lose your ability to respond. By the way, Ishwari Sundari seems to want to kidnap Gus.
Yeah, she does want to kidnap Gus.
Forget about it. We know what you're up to, Ishwari
Gus is in
Sundari.
Florida.
You can't just come and take their dog.
I said, you want to borrow Gus? You can borrow him, but she's going to Italy with us. Which,
Someone's got to take care of him.
yeah.
Maybe you should bring Gus to India.
To leave his body?
Yeah, take it to the bank of the Ganga.
Why are you throwing that dog off the boat? He's still alive. Oh, he's still living. It's the Yamuna. Who cares?
Imagine if Gus went. You could do like a film about this, Raghunath, like the journey
The journey.
from to the east, and then Gus comes to the Ganga, and then Gus dies there on the bank of the Ganga, and then they burn his dog body.
Hmm.
Think about it.
Last time Raghunath Swami came,
Let's not talk about
To
burning my
Super-
dog's body.
last
got a
time Raghunath
boost.
Swami came to Super Soul Farm, though, he like rejuvenated.
He got a
Gus.
boost.
Raghunath
Yeah,
Swami
you got-
comes here tomorrow, and I will say, Gus couldn't even get on the couch. He'd put his little chin on the couch like he wanted to jump up, but just didn't have the strength.
Give it a little.
This is a true story. Raghunath Swami came down, sat with the dog,
as soon as he
Yeah.
walked in the house.
head of the
I remember
dog a
that.
few times, sat with my. I was like, I got to
Chanted
take
to him.
photos of this. Chanted to him, gave him this magic juju that he does, where he touches the third eye.
Yeah, he
Uh-huh.
usually does
Dog?
it to kids.
Does it to children a lot.
Yeah.
Open my
it's the-
dog's
he's got
third
two.
eye.
He's got the bonk. He's also got the
He does the
twinkle.
bonk. Sometimes he does that. Then he does this. The dog immediately came to. It was magical.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
really
I'm
was.
not just. I exaggerate. I know that. I like a good story. This was real. Mara witnessed it.
It's
I was there too, Raghunath, over here.
You were too.
Yeah. You just cut me out of the history over here.
I'm rewriting history.
But Ishwari Sundari she wants you to take Gus to the Ganga.
She
Why
wants
don't we
to bring
start
Gus
it like
to
a
a WhatsApp
GoFundMe?
thread?
GoFundMe?
I'm moving Henry into the picture here.
Hey, Henry. Look at him.
All right, shall we continue takeaways?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh no, Ishwari Sundari doesn't want us to bring him to her house. No, to the Ganga. All right.
Can we go on with the show here?
Yeah.
Fear leads to illusion, confusion, delusion, and cruelty.
And profusion.
And potentially contusions.
Yeah.
Knowing our spiritual nature gives us fearlessness.
hmm
Mhm.
Find samadhi in the change of seasons.
With Raghunath.
Devaki's prayer is the big zoom out of Vedic study.
Yep.
We become a laughing stock when we try and impersonate God.
Don't do it.
I like that.
You like that?
And
Jimi Hendrix.
Even the universal seasons change.
Even the universal seasons change.
even the universal cheese and change. Thanks everybody for joining us. You sweet, sweet people. Sweet like honey. Hey, this is a community-sponsored podcast. If you like what we're doing, you can go to wisdomsages.com, contribute a monthly donation. It really makes a difference, and I want to really thank everybody for doing that, for those who do it. Yeah. And we've had Henry. Henry's leaving this morning. How was your stay?
Wonderful, wonderful. Really, you fine-tuned my inner peace. Thank you very much.
Look at that. He's found
Hear
the
that? I could put that on my bio.
fine
Fine-tuning
tuner
people's
of inner peace.
What are you doing now?
Well, I'm going back down to Florida to get a root canal.
All right. Thank you for all that information. I'm just trying to picture you with your head back on the chair with your mouth open.
You got a good dentist
Henry's-
over there?
We had so much fun with Henry here. Like we've accepted him as part of our inner circle community family.
Wonderful family to be part of. I'm so peaceful now. I'm just happy to stay here indefinitely.
We've had great meals. We've eaten outside a lot. What else have we done?
we've had wonderful people come and visit, and just great, and enjoyed nature. Really enjoyed
Great.
nature.
Let's do it.
That's what I
Enjoying
need. I need
Mr.
your
Nature.
healing touch, Raghunath.
I
Place
can
my
help
hands.
you. I can help you. Put your third eye close to my hand.